Welcome to the second episode of our parenting series. In the first episode, we explored the three foundational goals of parenting: shaping your child's nature, building their character, and guiding their behavior. Essentially, reproducing the best of yourself in them. We also dove into the ultimate example of a perfect parent-child relationship. If you haven't watched it yet, my friend, trust me, it's packed with insights you won't hear every day. Take a moment to check it out. You will thank yourself later. Now, let's dive into today's topic. Train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. You've probably heard this verse before. It's one of those scriptures that gets thrown around at maybe dedications and parenting seminars. But have you ever stopped to think about what it really means? I mean, really think about it. Because this is not just a nice suggestion or a feel-good proverb. It's a blueprint. It's a divine strategy for the raising of children who are not just good citizens or successful professionals, but children who are in right standing with God, who love Him with all their hearts, and who live out the culture of the kingdom. But there's this thing I want to share with you. This kind of training doesn't happen by accident. Godly children don't just magically appear because you prayed over them. Maybe you prayed over them once or you took them to church on Sundays. No. Godly children, are made. They are a product of intentional, committed, and often sacrificial parenting. And the truth is, if you don't know the way, you cannot show the way. You cannot give that which you don't have. I want us to pause here for a minute. Just think about what I said. Think about that. How can you teach your child to pray if you don't pray? How can you teach them to trust God if your own life is filled with fear and doubt? How can you teach them to love God's word if you don't even open it yourself? Your children can only go where you take them. If you're lost, they'll be lost. If you're lukewarm, they'll be lukewarm. If you're chasing after the world, don't be surprised when they do the exact same thing. Parenting isn't just about raising kids, it's about leading them. And leadership requires you go first. You have to be the first one to go as a parent. And this is why preparing for parenthood starts long before children arrive. It starts before marriage. Yes, I said it. It starts before marriage. Because the purpose of marriage isn't just companionship or romance. It's to produce godly offspring. That's the assignment. And if you're not ready to take on that assignment, I will tell you this without fear of contradiction. You're not ready to walk down that aisle. If you're not learning the way of righteousness, you're not ready for marriage, let alone parenthood. Harsh, right? Maybe. True? Absolutely. Now let me tell you why I'm so passionate about this. I grew up in a strict Catholic home where God wasn't just a part of life. He was the center of it. Going to church, praying, and attending pastoral programs weren't optional. They were woven into every single aspect of my life. From school to home to church, everything was filled with God. I didn't always understand it, but obedience wasn't negotiable in my mother's house. It was by design. My mother was intentional. She often said, "As long as you live in my house, you will abide by my rules." Sound familiar? And her rules were clear. I must pray, I must go to catechism classes, I must attend church, and I must live a certain way. None of it was accidental. It was deliberate. Now, I know you're wondering, did I rebel? Of course, I did. Like many young people, I decided to go my own way. But the seeds my mother planted in me had already taken root. And when the time was right, God brought me back to where I was meant to be. The training I received as a child seeped into my spirit, and it never left me. In the same way, God is saying to you as a parent, don't worry about your children. If you do the job properly, you have them for life. They will love me and live for me forever. But here's the catch. You don't have forever to do the job. Guess what research shows us? Research, and it's repeated, shows us that children learn everything they need to learn in the first 7 years of life. After that, they only learn what they choose to learn. Let that sink in. They only learn what they choose to learn. If you don't train your child in the way they should go by the age of 7, if you don't nurture their nature, character, and behavior by then, you probably never will. But if you show them the way by 7, it's highly likely they'll follow that road for the rest of their lives. They may wander, yes, as young people often do, but they'll eventually return to the values, beliefs, and training they received as children. That's a promise we have in the Bible in the book of Proverbs. Train up your child in the way they should go. And when they are old, they will not depart from it. You know, we often forget that we are spiritual beings housed in a physical body. Unlike our physical bodies, our spirits are ageless. When we begin training our children, that training seeps into their spirits, where it takes root and begins to grow. A properly trained child's spirit often outpaces their physical growth. So even when they are led astray by desires of a still maturing body, their spirit can assert its supremacy and draw them back to the straight and narrow path of their early training. This is why, the first 7 years are so critical. They are the foundation for everything that follows. Again, like I said, parenting is not just a responsibility. It's a calling. It's a sacred assignment. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about modeling the way, even when you're still learning it yourself. It's about showing your children what it looks like to love God, to trust Him, and to live for Him. It's about planting seeds of righteousness that will bear fruit for generations to come. That's what it's all about. And if you want to raise godly, kingdom-minded children, you must first know the way yourself. You must commit to learning and living the way of righteousness and kingdom culture. Friends, you must be intentional. You must model the way. You must start early. And you must trust the process. If you do this, you leave your children a legacy that is far more valuable than wealth, status, or success. You leave them a life rooted in the love of God and the culture of His kingdom. And that is the surest way to raise godly offspring who will live as citizens of the kingdom of heaven. I want you to start this now. Start now. Start now. It's never too late. Guess what? Your children's future and their destiny depend on you. It depends on you doing this. Thank you.